The news is brought to you by the Journal Kentucky Lexington Monitor, jklm.us, on the World Wide Web, jklm.us.
Dealing in optimism. And I think as a city and as a council, we have to deal in realism as well as optimism. So my questions have to do with where the project is today in terms of its design. Can you tell us the status of the design, that is the drawings, the specifications, the documents that are required to build this project? Are they 50% complete, 60% complete? Where do they stand?
You know, I can't tell you as a percentage. I can tell you that substantial work has been done. Stacks of documents this tall probably have been done. We went through the design review process with Marriott. They gave all their input that they needed, all the technical advice and requirements that they had. The next step is that there will be another meeting in Atlanta with the Marriott people and the interior design team to go ahead and try to finalize those drawings. Let me make a point. You're being disingenuous if you stand here and tell this group that you knew in August that the world markets, the world economic markets were going to collapse in October. There's no way anybody knew that. That took us all by surprise. So don't perceive as if you have a crystal ball that enables you to see something we didn't.
Oh, no, I just read the newspapers.
When I made the statement last March at the announcement of this project, first of all, I advised the mayor that we were going to be able to do something on this block, looked like that we got in the last piece of land assembled in early 2008. And he said, well, fine, let us know, and we'll be cooperative in any way we can. So it was at that point in time that I called back and I said, we're ready to do an announcement. And he was excited. Everybody in the community was excited about it. I made the statement at that point in time, assuming that there were no obstructionists, that there were no lawsuits, that nothing else was going to be done to stop us, that we thought we could have this project complete by the 2010 games. I said that. That would have required us to get approvals in 4 months for design to 5 months in design, which would have been March through July. Enable us to start footers in December of last year. That's when I said that, last March. Nothing was said after that about starting in 2 weeks. We got to remobilize this thing. And what happened was, unfortunately, some friends of yours filed a lawsuit against us, stopped this project dead, and we were not authorized to proceed to get title insurance on this project until January the 4th of this year. So we couldn't have started. So now we have to remobilize, we have to start over. It takes 4 months to 5 months for the plans again, which puts us again in July, and then another 90 to 120 days to dig the hole, and then trying to come out of the ground in late December probably.
Okay,
so you know where we are.
I think that there are many people that won't agree with your characterization of the facts or of that timetable. I certainly won't, because I know that the objections that were made and the filings that were made consistent with the laws, and that was done, and you were demolishing the block in August. And after that time was when Darby Turner stood right there and said, and in the TIF meetings, this project is on a fast track, and we will be coming out of the ground with footers. Now, my questions, and I would like the answers to the questions, please. Do you have a structural engineer, and what is the name of the structural engineer?
Jim, you have it. You attended a meeting with him at the offices of Sherman Carter Barnhart.
So Sherman Carter Barnhart is the structural, okay.
No. The last name was Thomas Eddie Woodford.
The reason for these questions is they were trying to find out what's realistic in terms of when the project may start. Okay? Do you have any idea whether the column reactions, the loads have been calculated? That depends on how tall the building is, and the structural engineer is responsible for that. Have you any idea of whether or not that work has been engaged and the documents and the plans have been delivered to our planning and zoning, to our planning department for review?
I have no idea. All I can tell you is that the architects have been up here 10 times at least. They met with all the staff people, the department heads within city government, and everybody was pleased with what they saw, and they're ready to go into the next phase.
Do you know, Dudley?
Fill them up. There's no reason to proceed right now until we see where we are.
Do you know whether an official building permit application has been, has that been applied for? Do you know whether or not an official building, it's called a permit, application for building?
I assume not.
I can help you with that one, I think, because I called earlier and it has not. The building permit application has not been made. And the reason I'm asking these questions is, even on a much, much smaller project, the typical time period is 6 months for this procedure in Lexington to be engaged. And we're talking about, perhaps, best case, you get the right reading. Best case, we're talking 6 months from now in getting the project started.
That's probably true.
Okay?
Now, started. I'm not talking about the excavation and so forth. We have to go down through 15 feet of solid limestone to get down to where we can do subterranean parking. You know that. Woodford is just pointing out.
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure where you're going with this.
What we're trying to find out is when, on the best case condition, that we might have the center of our town back in some form that's not an eyesore.
Well, all I can tell you is this, that we presented a time frame both to the courthouse overlay folks and I think probably to the court. I wasn't there, so I wasn't part of that. But that basically gave a sliding timetable for this project. It was a fast-track schedule. Now, we lost the fast track when we were stopped because of the lawsuit that would not enable us to complete this in time for the games. So then it became a much more relaxed type approach. And what we have done since is try to be sure that we had everything in our ducks in a row. The architects have worked very strenuously to get this thing under control and done. And they've been working with the city, and the permits and so forth, I'm assuming, are in place. The permit that we're required right now to do is the excavation permit. And that's the one that we'd be moving toward next, and that is to dig a hole.
You've used the word disingenuous twice today. You've tried to scapegoat others continuously. The only thing that is disingenuous is what repeatedly the representations that have been made on this project. In my view, it is unconscionable and regrettable that our city has been hoodwinked all along. Thank you, Mayor.
If you believe that, I'm sorry. You know better. I've known you too long. I met with you 10 times, early last year, trying to get this thing unstuck to where we could accommodate all the parties. And at one time, I had a meeting with you and Holly Wiedemann. You said, whatever Holly comes up with, we'll be satisfied with. Holly comes back with a compromise to save the facade on the Rosenberg building. The next day in the Herald Leader, it says, Jim Gray says, that is a token gesture. So how do we possibly hit a moving target like this? We have tried every way in the world to get this thing done. We have made major commitments to get this loan in place, or this funding in place, and it's ready to move forward.
For WSKY TV News Lexington. On YouTube, read The Holy Lexington Empire, A Community Struggles Under Sanctuary City Status, and A Still Small Voice, the only book proving that our current economic crisis has been caused by the Vatican II decree for open borders and high taxes to support third world nation building that was adopted by Washington and exported globally through the United Nations. A Still Small Voice. Go to skybridgepress.com and click on the books link. A Still Small Voice.